Hello and welcome to Dandelion Creations. Today we're moving on from the TENSEGRITY prototype that we made last time, and instead I'm going to build a full-blown TENSEGRITY table. A table of TENSEGRITY. A coffee table, maybe a bedside table, but it's a table and it's going to be a TENSEGRITY table. Let's get on with the build. So we're back to TENSEGRITY. Last time I made this, uses nylon rope and just some CLS I had lying around. Now, it does what I wanted it to do. It does float, but unfortunately, not very usable. It collapses under the weight, and that's just because of the materials I used. And also, I was just trying to figure out how exactly I'm going to go about doing TENSEGRITY. Now, I've had a few ideas, and I've had a lot of thinking to do between the last episode and this one, and I think I might have come up with something. Let me show you. And today we have chains and staples. Now what I'm going to do with these is I'm going to create a stronger, sturdier, more usable table. That's what I make this stuff for, and hopefully it looks good as well. That's why I went for the black chain against the colour scheme I'm hoping to go for. It should look quite nice. Before I go any further, let's explain what I'm going to do. And the best way I know how to do that is a chalkboard animation. Roll chalkboard animation. Our old friend Gravity. You know the drill by now. You're going down. Or is it up? The prototype used a triangle base. It was uncentered and tricky to make. It just wasn't good enough for what we needed. So I've realised now it's going to have to be a square base. So step one, I'm going to make 2 square frames. They've got to be nice and equal. I'll then link them together with 6mm chains. They're going to be made of steel. That should give it the strength it needs. Finally, I'll place the top on the table. Easy peasy. Let's get to it. Dandy trick of the day. Always mark your boards and your offcuts, mark them as well, because later on you don't have to keep measuring them to see if you've got one that fits the size you need. Right, that's all the wood cut. I did make them 50mm long either side. That's so when I cut them down, it gives me a bit of playroom, and also I can get the cuts consistent, because it's not always about accuracy, sometimes it's about consistency. Once I've done that, it's time to build the frame. But first of all, let's get cutting. Okay, we're getting there. That's 2 rectangle bases. Well, that's 2 rectangles. One's the base and one's the top of the table, which later on I'll mount some pallet boards onto to finish the surface so you can actually put stuff on the table. Other than that, it's getting there. I didn't use any screws on this. I simply just glued them and used clamps to hold them together while it's set. That will be strong enough for the base as it's not taking any forces to spread it out. It's just taking compression. So as long as the wood doesn't explode, it'll be fine. Next step, sand it all down. I'll then stain it to my desired colour, which I think I'm going to go for a teak maybe, but I'll see how I feel at the time. So next step, sanding and painting, and then we can actually get to the good stuff and show Gravity who's boss. Okay, so that's done. Took a lot longer than I expected. I've done 2 coats of dark oak. I'm thinking it's going to complement the black chain and staples I have. Fingers crossed. Now, I'll be using this. It's called a centre find. And basically I'll drill the holes into the staple and they'll go perfectly centre because that will centre it for me. A lot of people have asked me to sort of give a few tips and advice of what I do. I'm no expert by any means, but it might help you out in your own project. So hopefully you can use that tip. Now on with my favourite part, which is the build. The painting and the sanding took a lot longer than the video will show. So not my favourite part, but we're here now. So without further ado, let's actually start building this thing. So this is going to be hard enough as it is, so I've decided to suspend it. Hopefully that will make it a bit easier to plan out the angles for the centre support so we can start to throw some tension into this. Okay, so we're already at this point. I know I've missed some, but I will show you how I do it the next time. The first time, it didn't go very well. I had to use a Pythagoras calculator in the end. I could have done it by hand, but I'm lazy. As you can see, I've just got to do the top support now, and then I've got to decide how long I'm going to make the link to add the tension to it. I've got to make it long enough, so these are under tension, but not too long that I can't stretch out the chain and make it fit. Unfortunately, I'm not strong enough to bend chain, so you will get to see what I do this time. Fingers crossed for me. It's Pythagoras time. First, I'm going to measure from here to the edge. Once I've got that, I'll have the bottom, and then I'll measure from the bottom to the top. Then I can work out the angles I need to cut for the supports coming down. Bit of maths time. So this is either a very good idea or a very bad idea. Let's find out. Good idea. It worked, and as you can tell from the last clip, I was pretty surprised when it did work. Introducing the frame. So, next step to making a coffee table, put a top on it, otherwise what you're going to put your coffee on. So I'm going to cut some wood, miter the edges here to give it a frame, and then put some pallet timbers in the middle. I don't want it too extravagant, as I think it will take away from the actual floating aspect. I'm pretty happy so far. I'm not going to show the next part of me ripping down the timbers. I'm using the same timbers as I did in my pallet planter video, which I'll put a link up here. So let's move on to doing the top, and hopefully we're getting close to the end. Remember, if you like the video, make sure to click like on it, and also remember to subscribe to my channel, as that way you can keep up to date with when I bring a new build video out, and hopefully you enjoy it so far. I am trying to improve every time, playing around with mics now. Also, if you want to keep up to date with any tidbits of what I'm up to at the moment and get a bit of a sneak peek, go onto the Instagram page, which is dandelion_creations. Cheers. On with the show. They said it couldn't be done, but guess what, Gravity? We gone done it. So we started out with a prototype, you've seen that last video, and it helped me out a lot. It taught me the basics of tensegrity, the design I wanted to go for, and some improvements. And if you remember correctly in my last video, I did say I wanted to move to chain and a square base. And thank you for your kind service, but we've moved on. Now we have the finished article. Metal chains for bracing. It's all out of reclaimed wood. The only parts I have purchased are the CLS, which I ripped down, but they're very cheap. And I'm really happy with it. It turned out a lot better than I thought. There was a massive learning curve. I've used Pythagoras quite a lot in my day job, but to use it on a piece of furniture you're making yourself, it can be a bit confusing and where to measure from, but I got through it. And then the mitered frame. Learning to do that was a skill that I needed to learn for a while, but I had been quite lazy on the fab, but it can be done. And I hope this just shows everyone at home that if you persevere and do it, because I'm no expert by all means, but it is possible to do. Hopefully you like the look of it. I hope you enjoyed watching. Stay dandy.